My name is Corinne Alt, and I'm a literacy coach for K-4 in Livonia Public Schools. And I am also a COSA, which is a coach on special assignment with the county for Wayne Risa. And I am participating in the Early Literacy Coaching Network. And we are very excited to partner with Detroit Public Television and the Michigan Learning Channel.
Awesome, thank you. So you are working as one of the coaches for the literacy content that we're putting on the channel. Can you describe that a little bit?
Sure. So we were asked to apply for some collaborative work with Detroit Public Television in terms of building a scope and sequence for curriculum that would be aired on public television to support students who are learning from home right now during the current situation with COVID-19, and also just trying to support families in getting more content out to students. And we wanted to make sure that that content was highly aligned to the goals of the state of Michigan, and also the essential practices that have been put out by MESA and in cooperation with Nell Duke. And the coaches were asked to help sort of think through that process and also put together a scope and sequence so that we would have some alignment with the curriculum that would be shared with families, and going all the way from pre-K to third grade.
Okay, so Michigan Learning Channel is something that's put in place to support teachers in the classroom and to support families at home. What are you making sure is in the literacy content that families really should learn about? Even though like teachers use different curriculums, like how does that work?
So the essential practices for learning have been out in teachers' hands since 2015, and it's something that I'm very excited about because I'm fairly new to the state of Michigan. I came from Chicago Public Schools in 2017, and I was introduced to the essential literacy practices. And I think that that's something that is so powerful in that it is providing a gold standard, I guess you would say, for teachers across the state in terms of what would be expected in every classroom every day for every student. And when we look at what research says in terms of what kids need and how teachers can support them best in their literacy learning, the essential practices, there are 10 for pre-K through third grade. And basically they outline the expectations for teaching and learning in the area of literacy. And so we want to make sure that the content that we're putting out on the Michigan Learning Channel is highly aligned to those essential practices.
Awesome. So as a teacher might be using this, can you think of an example of a way that they might use this? I know that this will be on broadcast and this will be on a web page and there will be an on-demand option. How would you use it?
So we're hopeful that it will provide additional support to students and families in the fact that they will be able to have hands-on practice lessons and activities with additional support for parents as to how to meet the needs of the Common Core standards as well as the essential practices. So in thinking about effective read-alouds and what that might look like at home, a teacher may do one in the classroom, but then the teacher may say, I want you to log on and watch one of these lessons on the Detroit Public Television, Michigan Learning Station, so that way they get additional support and practice at home during some of that downtime or what we call asynchronous learning.
Awesome. So now this similar question, now how would you see families benefiting from this content?
So I think there's a lot of discrepancy in terms of the resources that families have at home to access good literature, but also good resources for how to support their kids. So knowing that the content that will be shared via the Michigan Learning Channel is going to be highly aligned to both the Common Core standards and the essential reading literacy practices, that will make it easier for families to know that these are best practices in literacy and that they will be able to watch those lessons with their children, or even just use the resources that will be shared in addition, such as the parent letter or parent communication that will go with each of the sessions in order to provide additional activities or suggestions for families in supporting their children with vocabulary instruction, with learning sight words, learning comprehension strategies, any of those skills from pre-K all the way up to third grade. We want to make sure that families have the support that they need in order to continue that learning at home.
Awesome. So this would work for breaks or evenings or any other time when kids are home with their families?
Absolutely. The sessions are short enough where the students can join and watch a half an hour at a time, and it'll provide them with additional support that would be aligned to what they're learning in class, but also they could watch sessions on the weekends or whenever they have some downtime to help build their skill set depending on their grade level.
So now, when my kids were little, I remember hearing read, read, read with your kids anytime you can. And my son didn't particularly always want to sit with me and look at a book. So could some of this content replace that book on Tuesday night that he didn't want to read? I mean, would it still benefit the child like reading would?
So yeah, the ideal situation is that families are reading at home with their children on a regular basis, but we all know that some family schedules don't always allow for that. And what's great about these lessons is that there's going to be a balance between read-alouds and interactive activities that are more skill-based in terms of learning letters and sounds or vocabulary. So it's integrated also with science and social studies concepts. So it will help keep student engagement, but also just thinking about the fact that kids need strategies that they can use and apply on their own. And sometimes when families read at home, they're not really sure of all of those strategies. So if you see some of those strategies in these lessons, then they are things that could be easily replicated with any book or anything that you're reading at home. So the hope is that families will become engaged in this process with their children and then be able to replicate similar lessons and things at home that will allow high engagement and interest on the part of their child.
That's awesome. And then one more question. As an adult, I know that some of the families that I've worked with, they didn't feel like they got a really good, strong grasp on reading themselves. So would this be a way that a parent could learn to strengthen their own reading skills?
Absolutely. I think strategies for becoming a better reader are universal in the sense that they follow a fairly consistent scope and sequence, and learning your sounds and identifying, certain high frequency words, and then building your skill set with connected text and learning how to read more challenging text over time. So the goal is that the lessons will be connected to both fiction and nonfiction text, so that families will have options in terms of interest for their students, but also just trying to get more of an awareness about reading books and how you might read. Like there's a difference between reading fiction and nonfiction, and some of the strategies that you might incorporate when you're doing a read aloud at home with your child.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being a valued partner and doing this work with us. That we know that this is critical work, and we'd love to continue to make this a sustaining practice and resource available for families.
Well, it's been a very exciting project, and I have enjoyed collaborating with other coaches, but also with Detroit Public Television. I think it's something that is definitely needed right now during this time where everyone is a little bit isolated, but also something that we can be proud of in how we are helping move the dial with our children's literacy achievement in the state of Michigan.